Well, there's another big story tonight involving Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius. She returned to Capitol Hill today to try to answer questions on the problems with the Obamacare rollout and the law itself. And the president's promise that if you like your plan, you can keep it. Watch this.
The White House website says if you like your plan, you can keep it, and you don't have to change a thing due to the health care law. Well, we know that lying to Congress is a crime, but unfortunately lying to the American people is not. I'd just like to ask you a simple true or false question. Is that statement on the White House website true, or is it false?
Sir, I think the statement
is it true or is it false, Madam Secretary?
Your plan. The vast majority of Americans who are insured are in the employer market, or in public plans, or in veterans plans, and those plans have stayed in place and continue to offer benefits.
Republican John Cornyn of Texas is a member of the Senate Finance Committee, and he's with me now. Senator, why is it so impossible to get a straight answer on this critical issue to the American people?
Well, you know, Megyn, if we were in a courtroom, the judge would have instructed her to answer the question, but we weren't, and she didn't answer the question. I think because she knows the only honest answer is that it's not true. It's a false statement on the website, and the 30-something times the president has repeated it, and now they're in a tight spot. And the meeting with the Democrats who are up for re-election in 2014, they are in a meltdown mode and panicking because they realize they're in an impossible situation.
But she's not just the president's mouthpiece on the health care law, on Obamacare. She's his, chief executioner. She's the one who went out there and passed those regulations the summer after Obamacare was passed, tightening the noose around these insurance companies such that almost no plans would be grandfathered, as the president had said they would be. Was she held to account for that? Can she be? You raised the point of it seems impossible for anyone to get fired in this administration.
Well, I think that's true, and others have called for her to resign, and I've joined that call today because there's got to be some accountability. If there's one thing people are enormously frustrated with Washington about is people mislead the public, they do a terrible job, they harm the public interest, and nothing seems to happen. So I think it's time for her to go. And what most people haven't really focused on is that this is more than just about a website. The president in your clip was talking about the website. They're going to fix that. But what they're not going to fix, what they know they did, was mislead the American people, and tens of millions of people are going to lose their health care coverage that they like just fine.
Well, here's the other crazy thing, is that, and you raised this today about the fact that these navigators who are supposed to help people with the website process can be convicted felons. So now you've got tens of millions of people kicked off of plans they liked and wanted to keep, contrary to the president's explicit promise, forced into a healthcare.gov exchange that they want nothing to do with, and they were promised they would never have to deal with, on a website that doesn't work, and that when it finally does work, the person helping them navigate it may be a convicted felon with access to their most private information. Let me just play the clip of you with Ms. Sebelius today on that.
Isn't it true that there is no federal requirement for navigators to undergo a criminal background check, even though they will receive sensitive personal information from the individuals they help sign up for the Affordable Care Act?
That is true. States could add an additional background checks and other features, but it is not part of the federal requirement.
So a convicted felon could be a navigator and could acquire sensitive personal information from an individual unbeknownst to them.
That is possible.
The insult to the American people, sir.
Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. This is just beyond bizarre that they didn't plan for all of these various contingencies and basically sold the American people a bill of goods. And now the birds are coming home to roost, and I think that's where the panic is starting to set in, particularly on this party line vote. This is very unusual, Megyn, in a lot of ways, because unlike a lot of major pieces of legislation that have bipartisan buy-in, this is strictly a party line vote. No Republican voted for this in the House or the Senate, and it's just the Democrats, and the ones that are up for election are really worried about it.
And now these people have been kicked off their plans contrary to the promise and have to deal with the possible convicted felon in logging onto Obamacare, the Obamacare website. have to take the risk. You got to go for it. You're going to have to go for it because right now that's the situation. You heard Ms. Sebelius say, yes, it is possible. So hand over your Social Security numbers. It's outrageous. Senator, thank you.
Thanks, Megyn.
We'll see what they do. One other question tonight. Why did the big insurance companies call the White House and ask for a meeting yesterday? Like the Senate Democrats, the insurance companies are not happy. We have some answers about what they're unhappy about tonight.